it was a really difficult weekend, right? With shootings happening all around the country. Even just saying that out loud, it feels surreal, even though it should almost feel normative by now, unfortunately. In Orange County, California, there was one at a church. In Houston, Texas, there was one at a flea market. And of course, in Buffalo, New York, at a grocery store. Police say the suspect in the mass shooting in Buffalo that left 10 people dead had plans to continue his rampage at another store had he not been stopped. The shooting is now being investigated as a hate crime, as it should be, and we're learning some chilling details about a possible motive. Now, I know we are hoping to connect with a local reporter. I don't think we have her yet. We may or may not be able to speak with her, but as we wait, or maybe we won't be able to speak with her, what were you thinking when you heard the news, in particular the Buffalo shooting with 10 people being dead? So
it was so interesting, Sam, because I think where we are in our society kind of is really summed up by what happened 10 seconds before we came on the air. You and Tori were trying to figure out which mass shooting. Jeff was chiming in, trying to say how many people he thinks. That's how many there are. The reason that our EP Chris was in front of Rob when he went to go do the opening shot, our cameraman, was because we're all scrambling to figure out how many of these mass shootings we have to deal with. And the reason that we are not getting anywhere with these, Jeff, is because we refuse to tackle the problem. And the problem is people are being radicalized online. I know that that term has only been used when we start talking about men of the Muslim faith. We were throwing that around in the 90s, 2000, radicalized Islamic. Well, what's this? People just rolling into a church in South Carolina, people just rolling into a grocery store, people murdering. Remember 26 people got killed at a Walmart? People don't even talk about that. That was a hate crime as well against Mexican Americans. So we know where the source is coming from. And don't forget, the good news about this country, it's capitalist society, money can solve any problem you have. So if you cut off the money and make it less profitable on YouTube for people to go to your hate speech, this will all go away, Jeff. I hope so. Before you chime in, Jeff, I'm getting news that we do have the reporter, so we are joined more on this with anchor and reporter from our affiliate WGRZ in Buffalo, Claudine Ewing. And Claudine, I just want to say I can't even imagine what you have seen and what you've been going through, because I know that you have been working nonstop since this happened. Tori, I know that you had a specific question.
Yeah, Claudine, I want to know, what have you learned, and we are not mentioning the name, we are not showing, but what have you learned about the suspect in this horrific bigoted attack and the motives that he might have had?
Getting some new information in actually within the last hour or so. One of our reporters had a chance to speak with some people who worked at that Tops Market, and they are now telling us that this suspect apparently had been in that store as early as Easter. Now, remember, he lives hundreds of miles away from Buffalo. One of the workers told our reporter that he came in, she is white, and he asked her, why do you want to work in this particular Tops? Because it's in a predominantly African-American neighborhood. And she wanted to work there, and he apparently had a problem with that. That comment alone is something that she remembered. And so that's why she's able to say he was at that store as early as Easter, which is so chilling on so many fronts. And then fast forward to now and what took place, the fact that he's 18 years old, he went into a grocery store on a Saturday afternoon. This is a grocery store that this community fought for, because for the longest, they didn't even have a grocery store in the community. They had to go miles away. And the city fought, they finally got it. People will come really from all over sometimes just to go to the prepared food section because it is that type of store. And so when someone comes, and then when you look at the majority of the victims, they are older individuals from the city of Buffalo. Just about 2 hours or so ago, I got a chance to interview the mother of one of the survivors. Her son, 20 years old, has Asperger's, smart kid, went to City Honors. That name alone tells you a lot. Worked at that store. She believes that he was the first, probably the first person shot. And she said the doctor told her that whoever the shooter was, he had a target, and his target was to go for the head. And when he was shot, it went here and then came out like near his shoulder. He's fortunate, but the woman that he was helping to put groceries in her car was shot and killed in front of him. This is what this community is dealing with. No matter what your skin color is, we are all affected, and we should all be concerned that this level of hate happened in a city that is called the City of Good Neighbors, but somebody came here and did this.
Listen, it's tragic, and you spoke about some of the community members. How is the community in whole doing, and how do you how do you get past something like this?
How do you get past it is a question that everybody is continuing to ask. The community is determined to rebound from this, to grow stronger, but right now they're hurting. Wow. And they're not hiding that hurt because they truly are hurting. And that's not going to go away right away. The one woman, the mother that I spoke with, she expressed her anger and made it very clear that forgiveness, that's not even in her DNA right now. Right? This is her only child. This is her only child. And he called her and told her, "Mom, I've just been shot." And she couldn't get there fast enough because she was on the other side of town.
Claudine, thank you for sharing that story, because if that doesn't personalize it for you, I don't know what's missing in your DNA. We got to prevent this from happening to more communities. Thank you for reporting on this. Our thoughts and prayers are with your community, also you, the whole Buffalo community. We hope that you guys stay strong.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, authorities released the names and identities of the victims. They include retired Buffalo police officer Aaron Salter, who was killed while working security at the store, an 86-year-old named Ruth Whitfield, who had just stopped at the store for something to eat, and 77-year-old Pearl Young, who was a grandmother and ran a food pantry for 25 years. They are just 3 of the 10 people who lost their lives. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families. Jeff, Tori, quickly.
I just want to give numbers to this. 198 mass shootings this year alone, 693 mass shootings last year. Okay, this problem is going to continue to go on unless we do something, unless there's repercussions. We don't have time to get into death penalty, but I believe that's the answer, and quickly.
And for me, my spoke is gun control. We are the only country that this happens over and over and over. I feel like we've been on repeat since season 1. We don't do anything. That's the definition of crazy.
Let's put them in jail so they could receive letters from people that they think are now a hero, or let's do a Netflix special about them in 5 years and catch up with what they're doing.
And mine would have to be, I know, Tori, this is a tough one for you, freedom of speech. I'm sorry, when you see hate speech online, that cannot fall under freedom of speech. I know it doesn't, but there needs to be stiffer consequences and penalties when people start to groom people online with racism and hate speech. This is white supremacy at its finest, and this is white terrorism. And until we denounce that all across the board, including social media, I'm afraid that we're going to continue to see this happen.